What is going on, lads? Welcome back to another video. Now you join me again inside the Focus. Hopefully the video is not shaking too much this time. I think I've resolved the problem I had in the previous video. But today what we're going to be talking about is my best tips for getting the best insurance. Now I'm currently 20 years old and obviously I've got the Focus ST. If you don't follow the channel already, consider subscribing. It's 2.5 petrol with a fat old turbo on it. So we're running 225 brake horsepower at the moment and I'm only paying around £800 a month. I can't remember the exact figure off the top of my head. I know it's somewhere around the £800 mark, but it was the same price that I paid for my 1.6 Z-Tech S, which was my last car. So if you want to find out how exactly to get the best insurance prices, make sure to hit this video a like, comment down below what you're currently paying, and let me know if these tips that I'm going to mention in the video in just a second helped you or not. They definitely helped me, but there's some factors of insurance that you can't control, such as where you live. I know that some areas are worse than others for premiums, things like that. Really, not always can you control them. I'm going to give you the best tips to give you the best chance at getting the lowest insurance possible. So make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for future videos like this one. Right, so coming in with the first tip. Now, number one on this tips list, I don't know how many tips I've got. I'm just going to reel them off for what I use to get my insurance this low. But number one is going to be kind of the most obvious thing, really, in my opinion, and that is just shopping around. If you don't shop around and if you just go for the same price as what your current insurance is giving you as a renewal, then you're probably going to end up with higher insurance rates. It's pretty common sense. But if you do lots of shopping around, do all the comparison sites, find the best deal for you, then that's obviously going to give you the better price. Sometimes what I like to do as well is actually call the company. So if I'm renewing with someone, I'll actually call them, see what they're offering me, and even try and haggle a little bit. Sometimes haggling actually works. I know not always do people find it a nice thing to do, but it's worth doing if it's going to save you money, so I definitely recommend it. So my second tip is going to be fiddle around with who you've actually got on your insurance policy. Sometimes I find it cheaper just to have myself. Sometimes I find it better to have my parents on the policy, who are obviously more experienced, so they sometimes reduce the premium. It all depends. Sometimes it's cheaper, sometimes it's not. And then if it's not cheaper, don't have them on there. That will obviously reduce your price even more. But what you will find sometimes is if you're especially a young driver, like when I first started, I had my parents on my policy and it reduced it like £300. So sometimes it is actually better to do that. Now, if it is, that's not a problem at all. Just make sure that they're the second driver if they are the second driver. I know some people will actually put their parents as the main driver, but then they'll be the main driver. I'm not sure about the legal implications on that, so I wouldn't recommend that personally. But definitely fiddle around with second drivers as your number two on the tips list. I definitely think that putting experienced drivers has helped me. There was one time that it didn't and I took them off, obviously. So yeah, just fiddle around, have a play on there. It does take a little bit of time finding the best policy, but that's what it's all about, saving you money. So if it's going to save you money, it's worth doing, really, isn't it? So yeah, that's my second tip. The next tip for decreasing your insurance will be to make sure that you have a suitable voluntary excess. Now, if you increase your voluntary excess, that usually decreases your annual sort of renewal rate. Now, I think mine's somewhere around the £400 mark, which isn't too bad, but obviously if you go higher, then it will reduce your premium. Now, what I have found with that is it is a bit of a confidence game. If you're confident that you're not going to have an accident, well, it's not that really, it's if it's going to be your fault. If it's not your fault, then sometimes your insurance company will actually recover that for you. Again, it all depends on what insurance company you're with, so it is sort of kind of a brief overview. But if you are with a good insurance company and it's not your fault, then you will get your voluntary excess back. So just consider that, consider increasing that, play around with it, try and find what's best for you. The best website I've found to play around with things is Compare the Market, because it's just really easy to use. But what you can do is just increase it in voluntary excess, And then they'll obviously give you a mandatory excess as well. If it's so high, you might find that the mandatory is low. It's just trying to find the right balance. But your excess is essentially the amount of money that you have to pay to the insurance for them to pay out in the event of an accident. So just consider that in mind. If you can afford to have a high excess and a lower premium, do so. Another tip that you can use to decrease your insurance is fit additional alarms or security features. Now I have got a disc lock. I obviously haven't got it on the car at the moment because I've just parked up and I'm with it, but when I leave the car I have a disc lock fitted to the vehicle just to ensure that I don't get anyone try and steal it. They may still try, but they'll probably have a hard job. It'll make it really difficult for them. Now if you do declare that to your insurance, which I definitely recommend, you are likely to have a decreased premium. So invest in a disc lock, invest in alarms if you haven't got alarms on the car already. Chances are there will be. Just make sure the insurance company is aware of all the security features you have on the car, because more than often than not, you'll have a decreased premium, which is what we're here for. That's why you're watching the video. So just make sure that you're declaring absolutely everything to the insurance. Another point as well is to consider the amount of miles that you've put down. Not always do you do the whole mileage. It is an approximate or an estimate, so you are allowed to be wrong. I'm not saying put down 2,000 miles and then you do like 12. Just be realistic with it, but if you can afford to drop the miles down a little bit, it will obviously drop your premium down as well. So just play around with all the variables, like your mileage, like your voluntary excess, and you're guaranteed to get a lower rate. Like I said, I pay £800 for a Focus ST, and that is absolutely madness. I was looking at the Fiesta ST as well, because I've always liked my Fiestas. I've had 2 Fiestas now, and that's really what I kind of was aiming for, Fiesta ST, and then I realised on the Focus the insurance is the same, so I just went with that. The final point in this video is just going to be to consider what car you're buying first. Do some quotes before you buy the car. That's what I did with the Focus, and I found out, I was quite pleasantly surprised that the Focus was relatively cheap in terms of insurance for my age anyway. So that's what I did, and then I decided to go for a Focus. Don't buy a car and then be left stranded because you can't get insurance. The other thing to consider again is a black box. Not everyone likes them. I did have one for my first year and that helped reduce my premium. So it is about finding what you prefer. If you can cope with a black box for a year, go for it. I definitely recommend it. Helps you stick to speed limits, teaches you a lot about the roads, and it just gets you used to driving on the road with a lot of maniac drivers. Most of them are fine, but you do find some that are a bit crazy, and the black box will hopefully keep you out of any sticky situations because you'll be going dead slow everywhere. But that is going to be it for today's video. If you haven't subscribed already, definitely subscribe to the channel for more Focus ST videos and more tip videos in general. I've been driving for 3 years, so hopefully I've got a little bit of experience to share with you guys if you're just starting to drive. But if this video did go and help you at all, make sure to drop it a like. Any likes and subscribes are appreciated. Drop a comment below, let me know what your premium is. Hopefully I've helped reduce it for you next time around. Like I said, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.